Everybody in the gallery, please. Thank you. If you could, this is a public meeting, and I know you're enthusiastic in your attendance, and I appreciate you coming out, but try to maintain decorum and respect for speakers, okay? I'm going to declare that the City of Grand Haven regular City Council meeting of June 5th, 2023 is hereby called to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Fritz?
Here.
Lowe?
Here.
McLaughlin?
Here.
Cummins?
Here.
McNally?
Here. The invocation tonight is to be delivered by the Reverend Troy Hauser Bryden from the First Presbyterian Church of Grand Haven, and it will be immediately followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everyone would please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the pledge.
Let's pray. Lord our God, we begin with gratitude for this day. It is a gift, and we ask that you would help us to treat the gift that is this day well. We begin by asking, what is it that you require of us? You have called us to do justly, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with our God. So help us to do that in this meeting and in our lives outside of this room. I pray for our counselors and mayor and all the city staff this evening. Grant them wisdom and grace. Give them open hearts and minds. You have called them to this particular service for such a time as this. So let them hold on to their duty with courage and love as they serve all your children in this community. We recognize that our society is prone to exclude, so teach us that your very nature is abundant love and that you love all your children and all of their vibrant diversity. Help us to honor each other in that. I pray for the business of this meeting, that it would reflect wise decision-making and would strengthen the fabric of Grand Haven to make it a place that reflects your great love. Help our counselors and mayor as they juggle the real financial realities with the various desires of the residents of Grand Haven. Bless all who are here tonight. Grant them grace. We ask all of these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Okay, the first order of business this evening is reappointment to boards and commissions. I guess the first, I need a motion to that effect, and there are 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 reappointments. Can we do the reappointments and the new appointments together, Maria? Or do them separate?
It's up to you guys.
Okay.
them all
Anybody got any
together.
questions?
We can put them all together.
Yep.
Make a motion.
Okay, a motion to approve all the reappointments and new appointments to boards and commissions.
Yes. And I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I have just a few comments.
Sure.
First of all, I thought, I wanted to thank I think 9 citizen volunteers who have decided to re-up for another 3 years of their volunteer service to our city. I can't thank them for enough because we need our citizens to be willing to devote their time to our commissions in order to help support the decisions that this council makes. So thank you for doing that. And also to the new appointees, I wanted to say thank you for stepping up. I did have just a question and a comment, Your Honor, if I may, on the new appointments.
Yep.
You know, one of the things that I'm not sure everybody realizes is that we have 2 boards, 2.5 boards, 2 boards, the Construction Board of Appeals and the Zoning Board of Appeals, and a portion of what the Historic District Commission does, that is their decision-making, what decisions that they make are final, and if anyone has a problem with their decisions, the next level is not to City Council, but to the Circuit Court. So those are very important positions, and one of the things that I have heard from a lot of residents, and one of the biggest challenges here is how difficult it is to get things built and get through sort of the process here in the city. And I know it's something that I think is on our radar screen that we want to streamline and while still upholding our high standards, but make that easier for our residents and for some of our developers as they do business with us. So I guess my only question was, in that light, you know, were you comfortable with the individuals that you chose for, particularly the Construction Board of Appeals, that they're in line with sort of some of those, I guess, objectives or concerns that the city residents have made about?
I have to say that the Construction Board of Appeals positions are largely technical positions, and they are, they require, it's not something that any person on the street can serve on. It requires a professional in inspections, familiar with the codes. And so to the extent that they were interviewed, it was based on, are you familiar with the building code? And are you able to apply the standards of the building code under the law? So in terms of what you're asking, I guess I am not going to be able to say yes or no. I'm going to say that typically the way something gets to the Construction Board of Appeals is our own building inspector makes a judgment. It's challenged by a builder, and 5 people with building experience and building code experience who've been selected because of that experience take a look at the builder's grievance. So that's how this system is designed, and that's how I applied it.
Okay. And the only other thing that struck me when I was reading the code was that it said that the Construction Board of Appeals was over the entire Chapter 9 of our code, which includes rental inspections, everything, not just construction, which was a little bit surprising to me. But anyway, I wasn't as familiar, so I read through that.
Makes
And
sense.
If you're comfortable, I'm comfortable. I just wanted to point out.
What I would tell you is there hasn't been a case before the Construction Board of Appeals in more than 4 years.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
we have to keep it.
Enough said.
We have to keep it staffed, but I'm not expecting a barrage of problems.
Gotcha.
And I think that the people we picked were all very highly regarded professionals in the community, and that's who we're going forward with.
I'm fine with that.
Okay,
Thank you.
good. Anybody else?
Oh, good.
All right. Maria, would you please call the roll?
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Fritz,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
McNally.
Yes. I just want to let you guys know, for anyone who doesn't know, most of our boards and commissions, not all, but most of them, their terms expire at the end of June. So the first meeting in June, which you're attending, is going to be the largest slate of appointments for boards and commissions. But I'm going to tell you that though I conducted copious interviews in the last 3 months, I didn't get them all done. So you're going to see a similar slate at the next meeting, I hope. All right, moving on, I would entertain a motion for approval of the consent and regular agendas.
So moved.
And I'll second it.
Any discussion? Maria, would you call the roll?
Lowe,
Yes.
Fritz,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
McNally.
Yes. Okay, first call to the audience. At this time, members of the audience, this is one of 2 opportunities during the meeting. At this time, members of the audience may address council on any item, whether on the agenda or not. Those addressing council are asked to provide their name and address and will be limited to 3 minutes of speaking time. Council will hear all comments for future consideration, but will not have a response this evening. Those not physically present who would like to may call in at 616-935-3285. If it continues ringing, please stay on the line. Until your turn, we will take all callers. The chair recognizes Reverend Jared Kramer.
Thank you, Your Honor. My name is the Reverend Dr. Jared Kramer. I reside at 11571 Oak Grove in Grand Haven Township, and I'm the priest at St. John's Episcopal Church across the street at 524 Washington. I did not expect to be here tonight. I did not. Unanimous approval for the festival. Great fundraising. We're up to almost $34,000, 60 businesses and organizations, over 150 volunteers. I didn't expect to be here tonight until I saw what happened in the last city council meeting. We opened our social media feed and started doing some advertising for the festival as well this week. And it was horrible. Just to give you an example, there was a picture posted twice on our festival of a white stick figure kicking a rainbow stick figure in the stomach with the words, "Get the F out of here." This city council is why pride is important. Because there is still hate. There is still violence. Over the past 3 years, hate crimes against LGBTQ people have increased 70%. I have members of my church that are now afraid to come to the worship service because they're afraid for their own safety, because they don't want to walk through lines of protesters to worship God. None of the gay members of my church or straight members of my church should have to worry about that. They just shouldn't. I'm disappointed that some of my siblings in Christ have chosen to express their disagreement with our religious beliefs in this way, particularly in a country that is predicated upon freedom of religion, which I would assume includes the freedom of the religious members of my church, which I would assume includes the freedom of the non-religious members of this community who are gay and lesbian, who want to come together as a community to celebrate who they are, who God created them to be. Thank you for supporting us, for supporting this festival, and for knowing that the voices of hate or discrimination that are not based upon a sound reading of the Bible or of theology, I say that as someone with 4 degrees, including a doctorate in theology, who speaks both Greek and Hebrew, these people do not represent the totality of Grand Haven. They don't represent the totality of Christians, even in Grand Haven. I'm looking forward to celebrating with you this weekend. It will be a fabulous time. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. Folks, I'm going to just ask, if you don't mind, that we withhold applause, just because there's going to be plenty of people speaking and it's going to take time in between. So I appreciate your enthusiasm, but let's move forward without it if we could. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Karen Forbes. I live in 14063 Oak Chapel Avenue in Grand Haven. I've been living here 10 years. I moved from Mexico 10 years ago. In 10 years that I've been living here, I've seen so much growth in our city, to the point that a person that comes from a place completely different, with a different background, is now feeling like I belong here. So I am so grateful for our city council that supports diversity in our city and is committed to help equality happen. So I just want to say thank you so much for making this place, this city, feel like home, feel like a place where people like me belong. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Bob Couch. I live at 202 South 8th Street, right here in Grand Haven. Thank you, council, for your hard work. Thankless job, I'm sure, sometimes. The thing I want to talk about, I know I stand here as a privileged person. I'm white, I'm heterosexual, I'm a Christian, and, you know, that's just, I got it made in this country and around the world. I get up in the morning, every day's a festival for me. I heard a couple of weeks ago someone saying we need to have a heterosexual festival. To that I say, well, go ahead, but why? Have you ever been discriminated against as a heterosexual male? I know I never have, but I know my gay friends and transsexuals have been discriminated horribly. Some of the names they've been called from this podium, unbelievable to me. And then people wonder, why do you have to push back so hard? Why do you have to have your own day? Are you kidding me? What are they supposed to do? How would you react if you're called an abomination to God? You're a sinful. Come on. What about some human decency? They're supposed to sit there and just take this? I wouldn't. I have a gay son. And it angers me when I hear that kind of talk. If you knew my son, you know he is not an abomination to God. And I know as a heterosexual male, I don't have to worry about being fired from my job. I don't have to come home and see the news and see there's over 540 bills that are going to reduce my rights as a United States citizen simply because of my sexual orientation. I don't have to worry about getting fired because of my sexual orientation. I can go down to my bakery and buy a cake for my wedding if I want. I can do all these things because I'm not gay or trans. So yeah, they need their day. They need their day to come together to affirm one another. This culture is not affirming them. At least a lot of people aren't. Yeah, they need a day. And if that stuff starts happening to me as a heterosexual, yeah, then I'll want my day too. But we know that's not going to happen. I came across a quote on the internet. I thought it was great. Kind of says it all. Pride is important because somewhere out there is a confused teenager who still thinks maybe being dead is better than being gay, and that's not okay. Why do they want to be dead? Because they're sinning? No. Maybe because they feel left out from society and their own family. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Hi, my name is Karen Obitz, and I do live in Spring Lake. Do you need my street address?
Yes, please.
740 Winter Street, Spring Lake. Thanks. So again, I live in Spring Lake, but this is my second meeting here in Grand Haven today, between which I ran some errands. I dropped some things off at my church, and I met a friend for coffee. All that to say, I consider, though living in Spring Lake, Grand Haven to be very much a part of my extended community. I not only worship here, I recreate here. As I said, I have friends here. I'm here often. And with that in mind, I want to tell you that some of the things that I've most appreciated about being a member of a church in Grand Haven, which is St. John's Episcopal, is that I've had a chance not only to worship in Grand Haven weekly, go out to coffee with a friend afterward, but also to participate in church-sponsored events that St. John's puts on in the view of making a welcoming invitation to all of those who live here in our greater community. I believe one of those events is the annual Pride worship service. And my joy-filled experience of last year's Pride worship service makes me all the more anticipatory of this year's opportunity to participate again in a celebration of a community that is bonded together in recognition how we are all beloved of God. And I believe that having the Pride Festival in Grand Haven is an effective way of extending this same spirit of welcome and joyful celebration of community. And I applaud the City Council's support of the Pride Festival as a similar demonstration of intentional community building. So I wanted to come here tonight to thank you publicly for both declaring June Pride Month the past 3 years, for supporting the Pride Worship Service the past 2, and for its unanimous support of this year's festival. I plan to attend with joy. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, Mayor McNally and members of City Council. Thanks for listening to us tonight. My name is Sia, and I live across the bridge. I'd rather not give my address just for personal safety. I grew up in Grand Haven. I decided to raise my kids here. I have 2 kids at Grand Haven Public Schools. It's an awesome community, and I could not be more proud of my hometown for hosting its first Pride Festival this weekend. I think it's one of the most American things we can do as a community, to hold space for marginalized people and celebrate their lives in freedom together with our families, like in the center of town. not hiding in the corners. You know, gay men used to be arrested for gathering together at bars, and that would be unthinkable today. You know, God bless the drag queens. They helped that change. Not only were they fighting for their lives, but they were also fighting for our right for freedom of assembly. And now transgender kids and their families are under attack across America and right here in Grand Haven in my kids' schools, my kids' friends. This is equally immoral, and we need to fight for their right to exist just as they are, not what some stranger says they should be. And, you know, homophobia is rampant and racist language is flowing in Lakeshore Middle School. My heart is up here beating in my throat right now because I told my son I was coming here tonight, and he asked why, and I told him why, and his response was, "Oh, Mom, you don't want to be seen there tonight." My 8th grader. We cannot let the politics of polarization continue to divide this community. I love my country. I love this city and this state. It's an amazing place to call home. And what makes it amazing is the fact that we'll fight for one another. I will fight for your right to worship whoever you want, however you want, or for your right not to worship anyone, if that's what you want. And I will fight for your right to speak freely, even if I disagree with what you have to say. I will defend your right to bear arms, even though I can't stand guns personally. And I will fight for your right to be who you are and love who you are and celebrate that out in the open, down at the waterfront, without fear or shame. The fact that our community has taken a stand in support of our LGBT friends and family members in the face of opposition from some of the ugliest extremism in our county is nothing short of a miracle. Like I said, I grew up here, and it's an amazing breath of fresh air. And so I want to thank the City Council for this, and I'm proud to call Grand Haven my home, and I'll see you this weekend.
Thank you, ma'am.
Matt
Matt.
Davis, 209 South 3rd Street. I'm here because of the amount of ignorance and hatred and total lack of Christianity that was shown by the 14 people who spoke against our Pride Festival last time. I have heard there are more of that same ilk here who will speak tonight. I know we can't convince them that they know nothing about genetic science and therefore know nothing about gender. We can't convince them that they know nothing about pornography as a matter of law, that pornography is not what they decide it is. I know that we cannot instruct them about Michigan law with respect to parental rights and duties with respect to our educational system. And above all, we can't convince them about the very clear meaning of Scripture on the matters that concern us. Because their reading of the Bible is not only uninformed, to say the least, but it's based on a conception of the deity as a petulant and punitive voyeur who has a perverse preoccupation with how human beings use their genitals. That's because people who want to make the Bible something they can bring down upon their brothers like a fist only can read it looking for little lines that they can pluck out of context and use to condemn other people's sexuality, thereby revealing how poisoned their own is. I want to give you but one example of that. There's a film called Jesus Camp, which is about the summer camps that fundamentalists send their kids to be sure that those kids get indoctrinated all about sin and shame and guilt and resentment about the body and about human sexuality, as if that were the entire concern of life, since for them it only is. At Jesus Camp, perhaps the most striking moment in the film is toward the end when a young girl, 8 or 9 years old, is asked what happens to people who are fornicators and commit other kinds of sexual sins. And this beautiful young child's face all of a sudden closes in on itself. And she says with great rancor, they go to hell. That is the psychosexual abuse of children. That is the crime against children's sexuality, not the recognition of the great difference that there is in our sexuality, but the attempt to make people feel a sin and a shame and a sense of guilt that will be with them their whole lives. It's an intergenerational continuation of the very trauma of the people who are going to get up here and rail against sexuality. But I had a number of scriptural passages I wanted to read.
I think that's it,
I will
Mac.
I'll hold myself to one.
All right, go.
Woe to those who give harm to little ones, because it were better that a millstone were tied about their neck and they were drowned in the sea.
Thank you, Mac.
Good evening. My name is Mary Parks Workinger. I'm a native of Grand Haven and a graduate of our city's public schools. And my home in Ferrysburg is in the Grand Haven Public School District. I came here tonight especially to express my thanks to the Grand Haven City Council for their decision to support the 2023 Pride Festival. But I also came to remind people that our City Council has a history of taking courageous and sometimes unpopular stands on important issues. Over 23 years ago, despite threats from our state senator and our governor, the Grand Haven City Council passed an ordinance banning directional oil drilling under Lake Michigan. This ordinance sent a loud and unmistakable message of love. Grand Haven protects what is ours, our priceless waters, our precious shoreline. We honor what is ours, we respect what is ours. And now, through its support of the 2023 Pride Festival, this community and this city government are sending another loud and unmistakable message of love. This time, to our precious and priceless LGBTQ citizens. We stand with you against prejudice and small-mindedness. And we say, you are welcome here. Your loved ones are welcome here. Anyone who has love and kindness in their hearts are welcome in Grand Haven. I am a straight, gray-haired suburban mom, and tonight I am proud to say that I am a native of Grand Haven, a community of decency, acceptance, and love. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Alicia Hager, and I'm a priest in the Episcopal Diocese of Western Michigan. I live at 213 Eldon Street in Spring Lake. I'm here tonight to thank you for supporting the Grand Haven Pride Festival. I'm a proud ally and honored to know and love many amazing LGBTQ people. I'm grateful that you have declared June Pride Month for the last 3 years, and that you have supported the Pride worship service on the waterfront offered by my home parish, St. John's Episcopal Church. It's vitally important for people to know that there is a place for them, including a spiritual home, should they be seeking one. Your declaration and the subsequent Pride events are not only supporting LGBTQ residents and visitors, they also support those of us for whom these values are fundamental. I am proud to live in a community centered on love, inclusion, and postured in welcome, the actual values of Jesus Christ. I'm grateful to live and raise my kids in a place where diverse people are always welcome and safe. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Angie Slater. I live here in Grand Haven. I'm grateful to live in this beautiful place, this beautiful piece of creation that most people can only hope to visit on vacation. I'm thankful that we can share our beautiful community with others through recreation and celebrations. Coast Guard Festival is one of those festivals that so many of us enjoy, one of those celebrations. I'm not a member of the Coast Guard. I even get a little annoyed with the traffic and the crowds. But members of the Coast Guard, I appreciate your service, and I'm thankful we have a festival to celebrate you. I'm not Hispanic, but I've enjoyed the Hispanic Heritage Festival, the music, the food, the people. Members of our Hispanic community, I'm thankful we have a festival to celebrate you. We even have a kite festival. I'm not a member of the kite flying community. I don't even understand flying kites, but I'm thankful to live in a place where I have the freedom to choose to attend or not to attend a festival celebrating people who fly kites. If I choose to attend, I might learn something. I might even make a friend who flies kites. After all, it's through relationships that we learn to understand each other. I might even learn to appreciate people who fly kites, even though I never intend to fly a kite. Members of the kite flying community, I love you as my neighbor. I'm thankful we have a festival to celebrate you. Members of the LGBTQ community, I'm so sorry that you've had to endure painful comments from your neighbors, especially in the name of God. I love you, I support you, and I'm thankful we have a festival to celebrate you. City council members, Coast Guard members are not a majority of our population. Neither are Hispanic people, people who fly kites, or members of the LGBTQ community. I thank you for your support for these smaller communities within our larger community.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good
Richard?
evening, Rich Clapp, Grand Avenue. I've spoken before. I'm actually going to speak about two topics. The main topic I'm going to speak about is my opposition to a drag show at the Lynn Sherwood Stadium. But first, I want to kind of reply to the Pride movement and the pro-Pride discussion that we've had tonight. Basically, the way I see Pride, and I have many gay friends. I came from an airline where I worked with many people in the LGBTQ community. Some of them call me every Christmas. I love them very dearly. However, why would we want a festival? And this is my question to anybody who's in support of Pride. Pride singularly identifies you by your chosen sexuality. I would maintain that there's many facets to a human personality and identity, not just one, not a chosen sexuality. Okay, now that I've said that, the harbor is going to be right in front of the Lynn Sherwood Stadium. We have code section 6 that discusses cabarets, adult cabarets, etc. What is to prevent a child from being on a boat floating in a harbor and getting an eyeful of that drag show? I don't really want that, and we do have a city code that speaks against that. And I would say too that opens up the city to a liability. Unless someone complains, right? And that's what the code enforcement officer told me in an email, and says unless someone complains, there's nothing to do. No one will show up, no one will supervise. Any officer can supervise, state, sheriff, town, whatever. But unless someone complains, no one's going to show up to supervise or enforce the city code. To me, that's apathy. I would argue that that's reactive, not proactive. I'd say if we want Section 6 of the city code, let's be proactive. Let's make sure that the city code is being adhered to with regard to the drag show. I'll conclude with, I just believe, I sense an overwhelming bias towards apathy with regard to Section 6 of the city code. If we don't want the city code, let's vote it out. But if we want Section 6, let's enforce it and make sure Grand Haven is a place for everybody. I'll end also too with, I've not seen any hate crimes and maybe some have here. I haven't seen any hate bias here in Grand Haven towards LGBTQ. I don't particularly ascribe to that. I mean, that's why I'm wearing the shirt that says, "This is my pride flag," but it's not meant as an affront to those who identify as LGBTQ. But I definitely feel that we are an inclusive community and we do respect the rights of others to be who they want to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Tom Reddick, I live in Spring Lake at 17170 Laura. And I did a speech on this to the Hope Academy for an hour and another 20-minute speech to my Toastmasters Club, which Rich belongs to. but I'll boil it down to 3 minutes. You basically have a situation here where a small minority wants to have a party, and it's going to be a fun little party, right? This is something America is all about, recognizing the diversity that we have in our community. My father, I was born in 1959, the year my father was confronted with a horrible family crisis where my mother's older sister's pastor husband was outed as gay and run out of town with my grandfather carrying a shotgun at the head of a mob. And my dad thought that was unjust. And this was a friend of his. He partied with this guy. And for the next several decades, he researched the question as a Christian of what does Jesus think about this? And he developed what I call Milty's logic tree. That, first of all, you've got Jonah, the book of Jonah, they say love everybody, right? And then you got Jesus saying, whoa, I meant love everybody. And no, he didn't have a gay disciple as far as we know, but with 12 people, the odds are good. But he was in the closet because he'd be stoned to death. So Christ's love trumps any of these idiotic, oh, don't wear that shirt, don't do that gay crime, Old Testament stuff that you pull out. And Paul, don't get me started on Paul, because guess what? Paul wrote a bunch of stuff, and then in the 1st century AD, Bishop Irenaeus and a bunch of homophobes rewrote the whole thing. So don't even talk to me about Paul. Okay. Paul was a Christian. And if Christ were to come down here today and have his second coming, first thing he'd say is, what are you people? What was that thing you call when he goes like that? A face. What are you doing here? Come on, these are people. And they're people we love. And I think in my personal experience, as soon as my gay roommate, in college cured me, I realized that every time somebody meets a gay person, they love the gay person. It's only when they've been told by their minister to love the sinner, hate the sin, that they get sideways. And this has divided my own family. I have a trans nephew, I have a gay nephew, and both are related to a cousin. And neither one of them will talk to the cousin because she goes to a church that tells them this whole, what the Christian Reformed Church thinks. So when I did my hour presentation on this at the Hope Academy, I had 3 ministers came up to me afterward because I'm speaking to the homophobes about not being homophobes because Milty's logic tree says we love everybody. And I had 2 out of 3 come around, okay? So I think the odds are good that if you do this festival and if people have some contact, and I'm not worried about a drag show. Come on, if there's a kid watching from a boat, that's pretty remote, guys. This is historic for this community to actually be committed to not discriminating against gay people. I mean, this is a good thing you're doing. You're on the right side of the arc of history, okay?
I'm going to ask you to wrap up your comments.
I'm done.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Mayor McNally and City Council members. My name is Rebecca Sanchez. I reside at 1721 Woodlawn. As a lifelong resident of the city of Grand Haven and a proud Buccaneer alumni, I want to extend my deepest appreciation and heartfelt thank you for your support for the Pride Festival coming up this weekend. The ugliness that has arisen from a few outside of our community and from within is, and I'm being generous here, unfortunate, and only justifies and supports the need for a Pride Festival where we can celebrate all of God's children and affirm our community as one where all are welcome to the table. Thank you for rejecting the notions from those few who have felt the need to use this event to fabricate utterly ridiculous claims that pervert Christ's teaching and God's love for all his children. Thank you for your leadership and your basic human decency, and for making our community a place where all are welcome and where we can be proud of where we live, who we are, and where it's okay to love who you love. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Brittany Good. I live at 428 North 6th Street, and I'm just here as a regular citizen today. I'm just really so proud of you guys making the decision to have this festival this weekend, and I'm really proud of all of you for showing up today in support of this. I think it's really important that we're able to actually overcome all of this negativity with so much positivity, so much love, and so much character, because we have that here as a community, and we just need to celebrate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Brittany.
Hey, my name is Chris Williams, 13245 Willowvale Drive. I'm joined by my family, Shira Cohen. Sorrel is at Taekwondo. We are here to add our voice to the hundreds and thousands of people who recognize and appreciate the city of Grand Haven for its support of the LGBTQ community. The Trevor Project is the world's largest suicide prevention and crisis intervention organization for LGBTQ young people. Last year, the Trevor Project surveyed nearly 34,000 LGBTQ people between the ages of 13 and 24. 45% of those people reported seriously considering suicide in the last year. Why? Because they must go to homes, churches, and schools that do not recognize and affirm them for who they are as humans. Those are real statistics that can be verified. There's good news. We can do something to make a difference. We are doing something to make a difference. You have made a difference. Directly from the Trevor Project, LGBTQ youth who felt high social support from their family reported attempting suicide at less than half the rate of those who felt low or moderate social support. And most relevant to your work in Grand Haven as council people, LGBTQ youth who live in a community that is accepting of them reported significantly lower rates of attempting suicide than those who do not. Things like pride festivals, celebration of Pride Month, flags, coming alongside some of our most vulnerable and compromised people saves their life. So thank you from my family for being kind and loving people. You are on the right side of history, and you are making the kind of difference that makes our world a better place.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Sarah Engel. I'm at 14702 Indian Trails Drive. I'm a former teacher. I left teaching a year ago when I had my son to stay at home with him. As a parent in and a member of the community, I just want to thank you. I haven't lived here very long. My husband and I moved about 3 years ago. But I've been here long enough to recognize that this is a really big step. This is a big deal. So thank you for welcoming an event that celebrates all members of this town that I've grown to love, and for helping it make a place that I'm excited for my son to grow up in. And I hope in 18 years he's standing here before you telling you how proud he is of his hometown.
Thank you, ma'am.
Stephen Boudet, I live at 1116 Ottawa. My wife and I are recent transplants to the Grand Haven area. We've been here a little over a year, and it's really been a blessing. It's been a gift to find a church that we like, that's inclusive for everybody, and it's also a gift that our town is a town that's inclusive to everybody. So the Pride Festival is really a gift to families like ours, to people in the LGBTQ community, but I also think it's a gift to people that might oppose the LGBTQ community, because it gives them an opportunity to see that it's not a scary community, it's not a bunch of monsters, it's not something that we should be scared of. It really is a gift to them as well. I don't know if they want the gift, but it is a gift. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name's Chelsea Folk. I live at 13234 Willowvale Drive. I am a resident of Grand Haven Township, and I am also the Pride Fest market lead. I want to thank our city council and the greater community for supporting equality and diversity in Grand Haven by not only designating June as LGBTQ Pride Month, but for also approving the Pride Festival. Today, a friend shared some wise words that what you nurture will thrive. This festival is being run and supported by some of the most nurturing and affirming folks I've ever had the privilege of meeting. Our community is showing up to see that this Saturday is a beautiful celebration of love and life. When we first submitted our application for approval, we anticipated that we could maybe fill 23 vendor spaces that we had allotted. Twice now, we have had to happily revise our map to accommodate all of our applicants and sponsors that continue to pour in. We not only hit our maximum number of possible booth spaces, but we had to turn off our application. At this point, we have had over a total of 70 vendors apply and express interest in coming here to Grand Haven to participate in our little market. We have had, I believe, over 50% of those applicants from right here on the lakeshore, and we have had applicants from as far away as Detroit who want to come here and spend the day in Grand Haven. We could have doubled the size of this market if not limited by physical space. I proposed to the river, but Dana didn't like that idea. Our community is going to make this such a great day. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to see love thrive here in Grand Haven. I hope to see you all on Saturday. I know for me that this festival is the nourishment that I needed to thrive here.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Hi, my name is Kara Schoenveld. I use they, she pronouns, and I live at 1536 Beechtree Commons in Grand Haven. I've had the distinct privilege of building the Grand Haven Pride website, and I also serve on the Festival Steering Committee. I was born and raised here. I went to Grand Haven Public Schools, go Roadrunners. I played soccer, joined groups, and made deep, meaningful friendships, and now I own a business, pay taxes, spend money, and support our local economy. I donate my time, money, and skills when and where I can. And, by the way, I'm also part of our queer community here in Grand Haven, which, by the way, is not new to the area. Queer people have always lived in Grand Haven. We just haven't always felt safe enough to be our authentic selves in this area. Can you imagine that? Having to keep something that makes you so fundamentally you, and you have to keep it completely hidden. I have a deep gratitude for our city council after they not only unanimously approved the Pride Festival, but then also deemed the month of June Pride Month. Honestly, I'd rather not be here talking about this tonight. I'd love for this festival to just be another activity on our community's calendar that anyone is welcome to or not to attend. But since I'm here, let me share what some of our fellow community members have told us about what the festival means to them. These quotes were submitted through the website. I have stripped any identifying information that could be possible from these quotes because there are many community members that have made it clear that it's not safe to be ourselves all the time yet. Onto the quotes. In this small conservative town, I want to actively support the LGBT community. This is a cause near and dear to my heart. I'm only alive today because of this community. Wherever you need me, I will be there and give my all. I grew up in Grand Haven, and I never thought I would witness a community that is being nurtured and is growing for the LGBTQIA+ and our allies. I wish to stand proudly with my wife in my hometown, celebrating our love, surrounded by supporters and our allies. Being born and raised in Grand Haven, it tends to be more of a closed-minded area. It's a beautiful thing to see it grow and change into a loving place of acceptance. I love this so much. I have a transgender child and would love to come and support a Pride Festival in our community. So excited for this. I'm excited to learn that it's this city's first festival. I'm a woman married to another woman, so it's important to me to do whatever I can to help, especially when our community is being attacked by political and religious groups. DEI issues are very important to me. I want everyone to feel welcome in Grand Haven, no matter what their sexuality or gender expression is. I want Grand Haven to be a safe space. Feeling included is so important. We are so happy and proud to see this happen in Grand Haven. I'm curious what it's like to be seen and affirmed, instead of being given the side eye for not conforming. I'm excited that there is a Pride Festival in my own city, and that my church, St. John's, will be having a mass beforehand. I want this to be a great event that shows off our beautiful town and its beautiful people. Multiple people I love dearly are part of the community, and I feel it's important to advocate for equal rights and provide safe space and love for everyone. And lastly, I want to help. I grew up here, and I couldn't be myself, and now I can. We should all have the space to be authentically ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Logan Pusis. I live at 9-5 Slayton. Sorry, almost forgot that. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. I've never actually been to a city council
You're
meeting.
doing fine.
Kind of a lot. But, all right, I'm just gonna wing it, I guess. I was born and raised here, and I am also very, very queer. So it's been a real pleasure to see that so many people have supported the queer community here in Grand Haven. and it means a lot, and I hope that the people who are against the festival going on would consider having an open conversation with those of us within the community and our family members. I think perhaps just talking to their fellow community members of Grand Haven would maybe tone down some of the fear and the hatred. And that's about all I had to say. So.
Thank you very much, Logan.
Hi, my name is Will Dickinson. I live in Grand Haven at 116 Howard Avenue, and I just want to thank the council and the community for making Grand Haven a more welcoming space. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, I'm Ames Goldman. I live 16441 130th Avenue in Unica. And so I've noticed that there's only a couple things that I know. One, that love is one of the most beautiful things that we humans have access to. Two, that respect is a synonym to love. And three, it's a lot easier to do both of those when you get to know the person that you are trying to respect and love. And so with that, I want to share a little bit about me in order to help everyone else understand me and to get to know me so that we can respect and love each other. So one, I work at All Day Coffee, and I recognize a lot of you from there. And I remember that when I was 5, every night I prayed and I cried myself to sleep, hoping that I would wake up to be a boy. And after a few months, I realized that's probably not going to happen. And so I started praying myself to sleep and crying myself to sleep, hoping that I would be fixed. And I did that for about 20 years. And then I met people in the queer community, and I met my beautiful girlfriend, and I still remember the day that I officially came out as transgender, and she said, "Who cares what everybody else has to say? You will always be the man that you are meant to be." And since then, not only has amazing Christians that truly believe in love, and amazing heterosexual people that truly believe in love, and amazing queer people in this community that truly believe in love, not only have they shown me what love actually looks like, but it also shown me what it means to love myself and to accept myself. And I thank you, Grand Haven, so much for having this be the first year. One of the first years I have fully lived as myself and have never felt safer in my hometown. And yeah, that was all. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Wow, how do I follow that one up? Brad Boink, 11411 Skogan, Grand Haven Township. As a member of the LGBTQ community, I can't thank you enough for allowing the festival to happen. It really, really means a lot to me. And you know how I feel about this community and everything I try to do for it. I also wanted to thank Ashley for helping to get the anchor up and stay up all summer, and council for allowing it to happen. Finally, I can tell people, yeah, no, it's going to stay up, instead of constantly being asked why it isn't. And lastly, I just wanted to give you an update on fireworks for the first. Almost all the production work is done. We'll be testing it out pretty quick. And it is absolutely going to be one of the best 4th of July shows that Grand Haven has ever had. It is coming together just absolutely amazing. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Brad, for all your hard work.
I'm glad to do it.
My name is Sean Duncan. I live in Colfax in Grand Haven. I moved to Grand Haven in 2009. I'm here today to thank the City Council community for all they have done to make Grand Haven an inclusive place to live, to make me feel welcomed, just not the elite, but everybody. For many years, my wife and I ran a respite home care business. We took care of a lot of seniors and helped them cross over. Because we have to deal with a lot of homophobic views around here at that time, a few decades ago, we had to stay in the closet. We had to do this to help our business thrive, pay our bills, raise our children. So to many of you, today will be the first time you see me. Hi. Betty is my sister. She's my wife. Our children had to do a lot of negative things while being raised here in Grand Haven. My son and daughter ended up having to graduate alternative schools. Yes, we would have loved to have seen them in Grand Haven colors graduating with their peers that they grew up with, but the hate was too much. Excuse me. I'm proud of them, and I'm sad that they had to go through that, but I had to protect their mental health. Fast forward many years, we still are here and stand today in this climate again. So we must raise our voices. I could choose to sit back and do nothing and let people keep pushing my family back into that so-called closet. Or I could stand up, speak my truth, know better, do better, right? So I'm here today to give thanks to Mayor McNally for that proclamation. I cried many tears and still do. We must now come together and show our community and other communities how to treat all with love, dignity, respect, not just for the elite, but for everybody. After all, we lead by example, right? Because I'm married to a lady, it will take nothing from you. All I want is to live that Norman Rockwell life like you all said, right? I have that vision too. I'm not different just because I'm a lesbian. I want my family to be safe and feel proud. I've not once held my wife's hand walking down the street because we've had to endure too much hate. So this weekend, when we go volunteer, it's going to be exciting to finally hold her hand walking down Grand Haven roads. I live in America, and this weekend I will feel that way. A beautiful melting pot that we are. It's going to be great to see it right in our home now. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Hi, Nate Parsekian. I live in Norton Shores, okay? It's interesting how things get contextualized and understood. I was here last month to share my concerns over the city promoting not only the festival, but just in some of the things that they've displayed around the city. But the reason I was communicating that is because how someone with traditional Christian values could feel somewhat of an offense or even feel out of place. So it's interesting to see how things get reversed, right? Because in a city that was very careful to take a cross off Dewey Hill, because there was a man in Norton Shores who felt that that was offensive and threatened, that was taken down, and other religious symbols are taken down on city property, right? I'm asking, is there a group of citizens who would also feel uncomfortable if a city's promoting something that would make them and their values and what they hold to not welcome? It's interesting to look at it that way, right? Because you would think that we are the ones who would be hurting other people. I just want to finish this thought. I echo what people are saying. No one should be bullied. No one should be hurt. That no one should be put down because of who they are. We're all made in the image of God, which gives everybody incredible worth. And of course, Jesus loves lost people, regardless of why they're lost. And willingness to reach out, like he reached out to so many different people. I'm actually asking the question more just on the fact of this is city property. This is a city deciding and proclaiming things. Is this really right and just for all citizens of Grand Haven? Especially people who might feel offended or out of place. And so that's my consideration. Would you consider that? and consider those group of people, right? Obviously, in no way promoting any kind of hurtful speech or making anyone feel like they are not worthy of being loved, because everyone's worthy to be loved. Everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, I'm Judith Stern. I live in Grand Haven, and I'd just like to say that I am very proud of Grand Haven for embracing diversity and inclusion in a very meaningful way. So thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Dave Barnowski, and I vote in Port Sheldon Township. But thank you for allowing me to speak, even though I'm not a resident. The cross on Dewey Hill did not come down because someone was uncomfortable. It came down because it conflicted with the Constitution. I have problems every time anybody makes any religious argument in a government meeting. I mean, they're allowed to. It's, you know, it's fine, but it's not what governments are supposed to be argued about. It's not how you're supposed to argue about governments. When that group came in last month, I did some research on them. I looked back, and I'm not confident that it was about them, but eventually in my research, I followed back to something called dominionism. If a Christian is taught to seek dominion over government or over other areas of life, but from my point of view, primarily about government, if they're trying to seek dominion over government, they are essentially being asked to revolt against the Constitution of the United States. I'm a veteran. I have a problem with that. So I'm going to be against anybody who wants to have dominion over any level of government. So I'm here. I don't qualify for any of the letters of LGBTQ or any of the other additional letters that might go there, but I'm here supporting them because it's the right thing to do. They are a minority who has historically been picked on more in my lifetime than, well, I can't say than anyone, but than most other groups. And for them to come downtown and have pride helps them get through when somebody else tries to make them feel less than pride. So that's why I'm here, to support them, to say it's the right thing to do, and to say it's not hurting anybody else. It's equality for all. Because if you can't make room for everyone, you shouldn't be in government. You can't make room in government for people who won't make room for everyone.
Thank you, Dave.
Good evening. My name is Reina Masco, and I am a resident of Grand Haven for about 25 years now. I just want to come and say thank you so much for allowing the Pride Festival to happen here in Grand Haven. As a resident of 25 years here, I can tell you that I have seen Grand Haven make immense strides. I'm also a part of the Grand Haven Hispanic Heritage Festival, and as a minority and as someone who is a lot different than the cultural norm here, having a festival that celebrates diversity, inclusion, equality, and makes us feel seen, sends a huge statement that we belong here, that we are wanted here. And so to have a Pride Festival in Grand Haven, for me to see that after 25 years, I can't even tell you how much that means to me. Our LGBTQ community needs to feel loved. They need to feel seen, and they need to know that they belong in this city. So you have sent a huge statement of love and inclusivity. And so words cannot express what saying yes to a Pride Festival means to people who are marginalized. So what you will see next Saturday is a celebration of love. That is it, love. Our kids need that. Our adults need that. Our LGBTQ community needs to feel loved. And that's what you will see on Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, Raina.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Justin Raha, and I reside at 225 Franklin Avenue, downtown Grand Haven. I've been a business owner for 16 plus years in the community, both Spring Lake and Grand Haven. I pay city taxes for Grand Haven, city taxes for Spring Lake, and taxes for Spring Lake Township. I pay a lot of taxes.
Thank you.
Well, rightfully so. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for unanimously approving the first ever Grand Haven Pride Festival, but additionally for the City of Grand Haven to recognize and proclaim the month of June as Pride Month in 2023 for the support of the LGBTQ community. I am the entertainment lead for the Grand Haven Pride Festival this year, and I can say that I personally know all of our talented performers that are going to be at this year's festival. I booked them myself personally. That's double entendre, whatever. We are ecstatic to be having this wonderful PG, family-friendly festival for all ages. I've ensured that across the board with all performers. The amount of support that we have coming from our local businesses and community members is overpouring. Unfortunately, we're receiving a great amount of backlash about our festival and Pride Month, sadly primarily from religious groups referencing scripture to justify hate. For all of us, this is nothing new for the LGBTQ community. We have faced decades of rejection, hate, and inequality. The month of June isn't just about rainbow flags and love is love. While these are fantastic and have become symbols of hope, it's truly about the fight by the LGBTQ plus community, especially our ancestors, who fought and many have died simply for equal rights, to be treated the same way as everyone in this room is treated. We now have marriage equality. We no longer need to be afraid to be fired from a job or denied housing because we are gay. These are just a few rights we have fought for, and the fight for equality is not over. I was born and raised in the community and attended Catholic school at St. Mary's in Grand Haven for high school. I grew up being called faggot, gay, sissy, and other inappropriate slurs you can think of by many of my peers, mostly whom would consider themselves Christians. I did therapy to pray the gay away, and everything imaginable to become straight. I will assure you that this does not work. I am who I am. I am born this way, and this is me. I am an out, very proud gay man, and I honestly never thought that we would have come this far as the conservative Grand Haven I was born into, and I have never been happier to be proven wrong. You are paving the way for generations to come. We are becoming a more open and inclusive community to everyone. Thank you for making me feel like I matter. Thank you for giving me hope. And mostly, thank you for giving all of us LGBTQ plus members in this community a sense of pride and recognition and a place where we can feel safe and accepted in this lovely city of Grand Haven we call home. Grand Haven and Ottawa County is where we belong.
Thank you, Justin.
I'll be the last one. My name is Zoe Thompson. I live at 167 Westdale Avenue in Muskegon. I moved there a few years ago with my family, but I grew up in Grand Haven. A lot of my lovely friends are from Grand Haven and are here tonight. I also work at Aldea Coffee, and that's partially how I met my friend Ames. I just wanted to say thank you guys for putting on this festival, approving of it. The statement that was released a few days ago, I think, about accepting the LGBTQ community in Grand Haven. Muskegon just had a Pride Festival this past weekend, and it was really awesome, so I'm excited to see how this one goes for Grand Haven. I hope there's many more successful ones. Thank you guys, and I hope that my friends continue to grow and flourish who are a part of this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, it looks like we're about done. I want to thank everyone for coming out. I'd like to say that we should take credit for the Gay Pride Festival, but honestly, I'm looking at the people who should take credit for the festival. So thank you for your enthusiasm and your dedication, and I know something like that takes a ton of work to put on. I look forward to attending. I'm guessing my fellow council members will say the same thing. So I'm proud of you guys, and thanks for your good works. Okay, because it's a special night, I'm going to ask, does anyone else in council got anything they want to say? Nope.
Yeah, I'll go.
Go ahead, Ryan.
This one. Yes, I just want to echo the, sorry, I was going to pull something else up here, wasn't the mayor caught me by surprise, so my apologies here. Thanks for the opportunity to speak down there, but there was a fellow member of our community that shared a post a couple days ago. It said, the best gift you are ever going to give someone, the permission to feel safe in their own skin, to feel worthy, and to feel they are enough. And the folks that are working on the Pride Festival are doing exactly that. A big thanks to you. Just want to indicate to our staff, I hope my fellow council members support me in this. Any resources our Department of Public Safety needs to ensure the safety of everybody that attends this event, they have my full support in any amount of resources they need. It's that important to get it done and make sure it's a safe event for everyone. To my fellow brothers, sisters, non-binary members of the LGBTQ community, we'll see you on Saturday.
Karen, you got anything?
Yeah, I was gonna say this at the end, but you're all here now, so I should say it. I wanted to say Happy Pride Month, and I wanted to say I'm very proud that it's the third year in a row that we have declared June Pride Month and had as someone said, the second year that we've had, third year we've had the worship. Okay, I thought it was three. And the Pride Festival. I am proud too that we in Grand Haven are saying we're not just committed to DEI and we are a welcoming community, but that those words are backed up with meaningful action. I hope it leads to more kindness, peace, love, and all that, all the happiness that brings. It struck me though that we've been all going through these sessions with the Chamber of Commerce Tuesday morning, where we're learning how to be better, leaders. And one of the sessions was just all on building an inclusive and diverse community. And the thing that struck me was something that the speaker said about people with different life experiences lend different perspectives and insight into any discussion. We all have different life experiences, and when we include others, we gain the insight that comes from the understanding their unique struggles and hardships, their unique view of the world, solutions and possibilities. We've all been excluded at one time or another, know what that feels like, the isolation and the loneliness. Including others who have struggled differently adds to our collective understanding. It deepens our humanity, and it helps us develop empathy. For those reasons, and what I think of Grand Haven, we need more kindness, understanding, and empathy. So I will be celebrating with you on Saturday. We'll see you then.
Okay. We're going to move on.
Reverend Kramer, thank you for what you've done, and you look a lot different than you did Friday night.
Sounds like Mike's got something too. What do you got, Mike?
Being one of the only people up here that's been born and raised in this town and seen it come where it is today, I am just so proud. If you look back in the history of my family, it goes very, very diverse. And happy to see my fellow council members follow the path and move forward for us. So this is really a good time. I am so happy.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. All right, we're going to move into the second part of our program, which isn't going to be as interesting. But you're free to stay and get a civics lesson, which I applaud, and you're free to move out if you want.
Or you want to wait?
Just wait a bit.
You got a front row seat now, Jim. Okay, we're moving on to the consent agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Maria, would you read it for us, please?
Item A, approval of regular council meeting minutes of April 17 and special joint council BLP meeting minutes of April 26, 2023. Approve the bills memo in the amount of $960,657.06. Approve a resolution to increase the not-to-exceed contract amount with Plumbers Environmental Services for the fiscal year 22-23 sanitary and storm sewer rehabilitation project to $197,358.65, and authorize the mayor and clerk to execute the necessary documents. D, approve a special event request to hold the Eagles Coast Guard Entertainment Tent to begin on Friday, July 28 through Saturday, August 5, 2023, on Eagles property and the 2nd Street parking spaces adjacent to 20 North 2nd Street, allowing alcohol to be sold and served during event hours, waiving the sound ordinance during event hours. E, approve a special event request to hold the Otano 5K run on city streets on Saturday, September 16, 2023, from 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. F, approve the license agreement with Haven Financial to place an ATM on public property located at 301 North Harbor Drive for a term of May 1 through October 31 from 2023 to 2024 in the annual amount of $300. G, approve a grant application to the Michigan Arts and Culture Council in an amount not to exceed $35,000 to replace the stage floor and theater lighting with LED lighting, with match funds coming from the approved fiscal year 2023-24 capital budget, and authorize the mayor and clerk to execute the necessary documents.
Okay, anybody got anything? Would you please call the roll?
Fritz?
Yes.
Lowe?
Yes.
Cummins?
Yes.
McLaughlin?
Yes.
McNally?
Yes. Okay, we're moving on to new business. When you're ready, Maria, would you read item A?
Consideration by City Council of a resolution to approve a special event request to hold the 2023 Coast Guard Festival to begin on Friday, July 28 through Saturday, August 5, 2023, in compliance with recommendations made by the Department of Public Safety. Administration recommends approval.
Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there support?
Second.
Any discussion? I'm just going to say I recognize the acting executive director of the Coast Guard Festival, and I thought you guys did a great job putting it together, putting your package together, and Dana did a great job putting your end of the package together, and I appreciate all the hard work that goes not only into the planning but into the execution of the festival, and I look forward to a great 10 days. So, Maria, would you please call the roll?
Fritz?
Yes.
Lowe?
Yes.
McLaughlin?
Yes.
Cummins?
Yes.
McNally?
Yes. Will you read the next one for us, Maria?
Consideration by City Council of a resolution to approve the implementation of waterfront paid parking during the 2024 season, running from May through October, Monday through Sunday, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., exempting City of Grand Haven residents. Administration recommends approval.
Can I get a motion to that effect?
So move.
And is there support?
Support.
Discussion?
Can just introduce it briefly, Mayor.
Okay.
Just, again, this is a follow-up as a result of the conversations we've had over the previous couple months stemming from our general analysis of paid parking as it compares to the years of previous efforts and engagement. But before you tonight's kind of an extension of what we've heard at the staff level, proposing Beach, Waterfront, Lake Avenue, and Peerless as the zones that we consider this evening from May through October, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and that's Monday through Sunday. Again, with May and October being $1.50 an hour, and June through September being $2.50 an hour, exempting city residents, as the resolution reads, and offering a seasonal pass option that may be more appealing for our neighboring communities. But again, approving this conceptually is going to allow staff to begin an RFP process for equipment and consultants and allow us to navigate, some of those final intricacies with our stakeholders along the waterfront and adequately notice to the public for implementation in 2024.
When we talk about stakeholders along the waterfront, who are we talking about, Ashley? I mean, have we talked to any of the businesses that are along the waterfront?
Not outright in this process. Some of the businesses, maybe Nodos, Snug Harbor. Nodos has leased parking from us, so that wouldn't necessarily be possibly a primary concern, but we would engage with them along with, say, the farmers market or Snug Harbor. Could be in a situation similar to Muskegon where there may be a deal within the app process where fees could potentially be waived if you provide a receipt or receive a code from the business at hand. So we can work out some of those final details in those couple months leading up to that.
But this,
You guys got any? Go ahead and.
but I see this only as the first step in a process. I think some of us anyways believe that we should consider paid parking, at least along the waterfront, and maybe even further for some of us. But I think from my perspective, I just want to see us put together the whole program and make sure that we include the businesses, the DDA, and get everybody's input as we move through this process. Just because we're saying we're approving this parking tonight, I think it's just a first step in a long process. And I don't think that we should just discount it now and say, no, that's not. I just want to be able to take a hard look at it. Bring the companies in that do this on an ongoing basis. And I think they could give us a lot of insight on what's going on and how to properly do this to the, implement this in the community. So I fully support this as the first step. I have all the confidence in the world that Ashley and the staff can move this forward, and that's why I'm supporting this.
Mike, anything?
Just going back, history, you have to know your history before you can move forward. And if you know the history of things, it really helps you a lot. A good example is we did have parking meters at one time because it was supposed to bring in revenue for us. But what it did was it drove the business out of downtown and moved them out to the malls and everything else because it had to come to pay parking. I just hope that history doesn't repeat itself if you guys move forward with this. If you go over there on 3rd Street, I said this before, you can still see the little rings down there where they cut them off because the businesses were starving down here because of that. You work in Saugatuck. How many paid parking do they have down there?
Not city paid parking. There are some lots that there's.
Well, it's privately owned, right?
Well, there's some city lots that there's an agreement with the schools to staff them and charge for parking, and then the city gets half that.
Holland,
and there
does
is
Holland
paid
have
parking
it?
there is paid parking at the beach in Saugatuck.
Is there paid parking in Holland?
No, not that I'm aware of. Yeah.
I mean, it's a good example. I mean, we want to make sure we maintain our businesses. They're starving down there. I'm telling you what, if you guys want to go ahead, we need to get out there before you even start even talking about it. We need to go out there and to start and seeing our business owners and talking with them, because I have. There's places down there that are really hurting right now. And if we do this and they don't get the trade that they're supposed to be getting, you're assuming, which is not a good thing to do. You know what assume is, A-S-S-U-M-E, assume. They're assuming that we're going to get all this money. Don't. It's not a guaranteed. I want to make sure that my downtown is a thriving downtown. We don't want it to starve, because without a thriving downtown, you don't have a community. You have to have that. It makes our whole thing happen. I'm not in favor of this. I haven't been from the start, and I will not support it because it's not being done in a correct manner. We need to do more research. We need to go out there and start talking with them. Who did the study on this?
Chief Hawk.
Yeah, is he trained Do we
Yeah,
hire somebody that's trained in this? No.
When you go through Chief Hawks with respect,
I
when you go through.
respect him, what he did was, he did what we asked him to do,
did.
but it's not his forte.
No, and honestly, yeah, I think he got some information on what some of the costs would be, but I think that the assumptions he made regarding occupancy are highly dubious, to say the least.
Well, anyways,
So,
we have to look back at history, like I always say before you start moving forward. And if the history of the whole thing of being paid parking is not good, a good example of what happened to our.
Point of, I just
what
want to
happened
ask a
to our
question.
parking
Point
we
of,
had- What happened to our parking we had when we had paid parking at the beach out there? What a fiasco that was. I mean, that turned into one big, oh my God, it was unbelievable. Just keep going. Anytime we start talking about paid parking
and that
here.
was only 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah,
It was
well.
just before the pandemic.
point of clarification, Your Honor?
Yeah.
Are we discussing the resolution here that City Manager Lash described to approve the implementation of waterfront paid parking as described by the 4, not including downtown, but the 4 areas, Peerless Flats, Waterfront, Beach, Lake Avenue? Do I have that correct?
Correct.
Okay, I
Yes,
just don't
that's what
understand why we're
that's what
talking about downtown
that's what
parking.
No, I'm not talking about, I'm just talking about paid parking all alone.
I thought you were talking
don't
about
just construe
downtown.
what I'm saying, just listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying paid parking is not a good thing for us. Anywhere, I don't care right now. It's too soon for it. Let's take an implementation, let's get a good study done. We hire somebody then. If you want it done right, let's do it correctly. We shouldn't be doing it off the whim of ourselves by asking our police chief to do it. It's not his forte. He knows how to handle public safety very well. He does a very good job at his job. It's not his job to find out about paid parking. They have professionals that do that.
I will just add, just as a point of clarification, while we didn't hire a consultant to perform the task, we did consult with a parking consultant on the figures and some of the occupancy and the
I didn't see that.
the
Where'd it come
expenses.
across?
That was, Chief one-on-one worked with the individual. It wasn't a report produced
Did
by
we
the
hire
parking
him?
consultant. No,
Did we hire him?
no.
One of the issues to me, and I think this supports Mike's point, is that a substantial portion of the money that comes in these programs goes to the consultant who does your software and installs your kiosks and your metering and your they send out your tickets. So they're always going to estimate generously, I'm just going to say, on what you can expect in terms of revenue from these sources. And I think it's based on what my family's in the short-term rental business to some extent, and I'm here to tell you our season in Grand Haven is very short. It really goes from the middle of June till the middle of August. It's about an 8-week season. And I see us charging everything else really, even before Labor Day. Like Labor Day weekend is peak season, but the weeks that the kids have gone back to school before Labor Day are not. So when I see us charging from May through October, and there are a lot of people who come out here to use the beach and then go in and grab lunch in town or do a little shopping in town, use the restaurants, use Noto's, use Snug, all of those people, the potential exists for them to be really discouraged by the parking meters. I know I'm hearing from everyone else charges for parking, but I hear Saugatuck's not, I hear Holland's not. So we compete with other beach communities for seasonal dollars, and the shoulder seasons, honestly, highly weather dependent, but when people come out, they're less likely to come here if we are one of the only communities charging for parking. That's what I think. So, I know that the...
Your Honor, may I speak?
Sure, Karen, go ahead.
I am 100%, supportive of you proceeding, and, I think the last one was just a presentation of all of the data, and I thought I had expressed it very clearly. This is a very unique consulting niche. You are not going to find someone who does this independent of systems and software. Even if we had that kind of money to put out there, the best way to progress in this is to go out and get bids on various and have our city staff investigate, look at other cities that have done it, talk to their counterparts in those cities, and progress and come back with a recommendation. I am not in favor of downtown paid parking, but I fully support, as recommended by staff, the 4 zones that they would like to begin with and move forward with. And I think they need some kind of direction from staff as to whether to set this down and not do anything or move ahead and narrow it down rather than continuing as we are, just leaving it out as a
outlier. Ryan?
Yeah, so I apologize I wasn't able to be at the meeting where Chief did his presentation, but I did watch the meeting back. I saw all the discussion, saw all the analysis, I've read all of the documents. So a few comments that I'll make. I do agree. I think that like through October seems too long. I see maybe like a mid-May to like mid-September kind of time frame as being probably that maybe sweeter spot than all of May and certainly all of October, and I think half of September. There's some seems to be some sweeter spots there. I appreciate staff kind of expanding this to being 7 days a week. The one thing I really like about the options related to kiosks and mobile app options, although I think we'd have some connectivity issues at the beach that are going to have to be worked through with cell coverage down there. I know it's another challenge, right? Is that these systems are programmable, so weekends maybe are better for higher rates than weekdays, or earlier in the day maybe we don't need as rates that are as high as later in the day. So I think there's maybe some additional things that we could think through and analyze related to those types of things. Although there is some benefit to keeping it simple. I'm open to paid parking in more than just these areas, but I'm also willing to compromise and find common ground on certain things. Certainly along the waterfront and the beach, although I think that some of these lots are in the DDA's district, and for Mr. Fritz, with all due respect, this isn't just some new novel concept. In 2019, there was a paid parking committee established and went through a pretty considerable study with our business community. I joined the very tail end of it when I first came on the council. In fact, I think you were invited to as well and refused to because you said you would never support it, which is fine. But it was studied very extensively with our staff and community stakeholders, folks that were for it and against it, to kind of flesh out a bunch of different things. There was recommendations that were made, and then we kind of ran into COVID, and so things kind of got put off for a while. So there's been a lot of engagement, but given where we're at now, I do think that we need maybe and the DDA did make a recommendation at the time. I think we do need to give the DDA an opportunity, because some of these lots are in their district, a chance to provide their thoughts or feedback or a recommendation on the lots that impact their district. Certainly, I think I have no problem with engaging with folks on this. I mean, if you want to look at the numbers and look at the millions in capital needs that we have for our boardwalk and our waterfront, and how much we have great public safety, but it costs a lot to have them and have extra public safety staff during the summer. Where's your plan to pay for it? I'd really like to see that. I don't know where it's coming from or where you think it's going to come from. You haven't presented a plan for it. Here's a plan that can help pay for some of those costs. And residents are exempt because they're already paying for their portion through taxes, because there's no such thing as free parking right now. There's not. Nowhere. Our residents have all of it on their shoulders. So this helps, our friends and neighbors and the tri-communities and our visitors just help pay for a portion of the cost to maintain our beautiful waterfront, the costs that it to have the public safety services that we have when they're here, to have a musical fountain, all of those things that make Grand Haven great. We're just asking for part of that cost for the most premium parking along the waterfront and the beach, to have folks sharing that cost with us. True, many years ago, paid parking was ripped out of a lot of the communities because there was sprawl and there were malls that were built and they offered free parking, and now they're all sitting empty with lots of land that isn't being utilized, with parking lots that are bare and barren, and it's not good from a land use perspective. So that's not what you want either. So, at some point we have to pay for our bills as well, and we have to consider that. So as far as seasonal passes go, like, this isn't like some novel, like, new concept. The city of Saugatuck does charge at the beach. They do not like have some formal program in the immediate city, but they have beach passes. They charge $50 for non-residents to buy a seasonal pass to just Oval Beach. In fact, they charge their residents to buy a pass to Oval Beach as well. Muskegon charges $20 for non-residents. South Haven.
That's at the beach.
At the beach.
Okay.
This is beach and waterfront paid parking, right along the waterfront.
At the beach.
Well, I have some additional examples for you if you want to hold on for a moment.
Sure.
South Haven, they charge. 3 years ago, you could have bought a 3-year pass for $80, a 2-year pass for $70, or if you're in the last year of it, they were charging $60 for just 2023. St. Joe, if you go to the county beach, it's $40 for a season pass. And then if you want to go to the city beaches and parks, it's a different $40 that you have to pay. So this isn't just some, Petoskey charges, Traverse City charges. This isn't like some like new thing that's just never been done anywhere. I do think that seasonal pass option is a good thing to offer. I think $20 probably seems a little light considering where others are at in the market. I think that we could use some further analysis on that. Maybe some projections on how many passes we're thinking that we might sell. And then I think the other thing that we really got to flesh out and make it really clear is, as we're looking at exempting non-residents, how do we define residents? And I think that's something that other communities have wrestled with and kind of come up with a good system. Like Muskegon landed on an offer of you get 2 per household until the end of April, and that was to avoid burden on their staff throughout the summer and trying to get out a bunch of passes. And then after that, you could still get a pass, but it was only 1. And then South Haven, my research showed that they allowed 2 per property owner or resident. A lot of it was based on parcel or tax records. Yeah. So, and then kind of working it from there. So there are a few different things to consider there. So I'm not ready to say yes, go implement this tonight, but I am more than willing to pass some sort of resolution that says authorizing staff to conduct further analysis and study, engage with the DDA and other stakeholders, and then even put a date on it, because I don't want this to linger. I think we do need to make a decision, probably in the next few months on this, because obviously there's some work that's going to need to be done with ordering equipment and making sure that you have the staffing in place to implement it for next season. But I think that my comments are related to studying it for implementation and planning on doing it more so than something broader than that. So.
Okay, well, the resolution that's laid out here really says to approve the implementation of paid parking.
That's correct, that's what it says.
So it's not really about to study whether to implement paid parking. It's to approve the implementation of paid parking.
I'm just speaking to the motion that's on the table. I didn't come up with this language, so.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Are you saying you want to amend the motion?
So probably in some way, at least. I don't know if other council members have any interest in that. Perhaps.
Yeah, I believe, so I want to make, a very deliberate, however we amend it, that we're saying that this is a priority, that generating revenue is something that the city needs, and that we want to progress that way. It's not signing off on every detail of it, or, you know, but giving, asking staff to make this sort of a priority project for implementation in, 2024. Not that all the details have been ironed out and that we're all comfortable that those have been addressed, but that the intent is an important need to pay, that parking is not free, and that, but it's as important, Councilmember Fritz, to me, that we're intentional in leaving out the downtown area, because I do agree with you on the impact to the
We're talking
downtown.
about over here at Peerless Flats, and you're going around that whole front there. You got the farmer's market and stuff in there, and you start charging, you're already paying a premium for your vegetables, now you're gonna have to pay for parking there too. It was not the beach, it's not just the beach. You're talking about water, you're talking about the whole waterfront.
That's fair. So you want to exclude that? Would you like to exclude that? Or?
I'm just, I'm not in favor of any of it right now, so.
And I think that's a fair point related to Peerless Flats, and something to further consider.
Well, that's almost half the spots, guys.
Yeah, I mean, even right now, I'm kind of shocked at how unutilized, or they're not utilized as much as I would have thought they might have been.
Flat spots, I don't think people have found them yet.
Well, yeah, that's
Not
they may
But
have been.
but they will.
Right. Well, and if they're, maybe, it's about paying for a premium too at some point. Like if Peerless isn't being charged for, and it is
Right,
over
that
here,
is
some
true.
folks are willing to pay the higher cost to park over here, but not over here, and they're gonna weigh those things out.
So, Ryan, what I heard you say is you're interested in exploration. Are you interested in this resolution as written?
So I would make a motion to amend this resolution before us to approve staff conducting further analysis and stakeholder engagement with the DDA and other
Affected businesses.
What about proposals? I mean, for potential implementation?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm working on it here. So what do I have so far to?
Staff conducting further analysis and stakeholders, including the DDA.
For the implementation of waterfront paid parking during the 2024 season, from mid-May through mid-September, Monday through Sunday, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., exempting City of Grand Haven residents. Knowing that that's them continuing to study that, but.
Would you include going beyond the DDA, though? I mean, like, was that just specifically wanting them to include that, but what about proceeding with this scope and getting potential,
Community
RFPs, out to see where you're going to get your actual costs from various,
No, I
as a
think
defined
I
scope.
think we have to allow actually to go out and get RFQs.
I agree.
For parking management firms that do this on a daily basis, because they, I think, can bring an expertise that no one in this community has.
So we're gonna be voting today on something that the community knows nothing about, and there's been no community input, there's been no DDA input, there's been no stakeholder.
But we're only asking for a study, we're not asking for anybody
No,
to.
it's called implementation.
It says approve implementation.
But I just made a motion to amend that, and I think my intent with my motion is to give staff direction to indicate that, hey, we want some further analysis and study here to actually implement it for next season, given these parameters. And I think as part of that process, that's engaging the DDA, other stakeholders that staff, feels are appropriate, with knowing that, hey, we're conducting further analysis so we can actually implement this for next season. I mean, I don't know what that looks like as far as a request for qualifications or request for proposals.
You can't be prepared to implement if you haven't sent out RFQs to even get started. So I feel like we haven't gone anywhere unless we kind of get to the point where we're telling them, for these zones, proceed and do more analysis and go out and get, that, because otherwise we'll have no more information than we had at the, when Chief came here. Well, DDA input, that was,
Well,
yeah.
Ashley, you tell us, what do you need to actually go do some more formal,
There's no reason she couldn't do that without a resolution.
I think the further analysis would qualify as getting further proposals.
Okay.
And I think those proposals could very well be a discussion with those stakeholders as well.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So that language is broad enough, you feel like you would have the,
I believe so, and I think that can be captured in the minutes.
okay.
One of the things I guess I wanted to put in here is, one of the things Chief said is there are economies of scale.
Mhm.
And, I mean, the staffing to enforce this only works if you do it on a large scale. The $70,000 gun it takes to read the license plates is a huge investment. Every time, that's part of the reason is, if we don't give guidance on where you want to do it, you aren't going to be able to tell whether we will even make money on this, especially if the assumptions Chief has made about occupancy rates, which I think they're off, okay? And I don't know how to figure that out, but he's made assumptions about significant occupancy rates, and he's then made also assumptions about how much of the occupancy is taken by residents, which would then be exempt.
Mhm.
And then when you add in, even if it's a $50 pass seasonally, and you assume that I'm going to call them local people, not city residents, are using another big chunk of that, we may end up literally with paying for kiosks, paying for an enforcement gun, paying for police officers to enforce, and with no net positive revenue.
Can we circle back for a minute? Because we have a motion on the floor from Cummins to amend the resolution as is that hasn't had a second yet. So can we settle that amendment before further discussion?
Sure, I'll second.
I will read what I have before we. So what the change would be is consideration by City Council of a resolution to approve staff conducting further analysis and consulting stakeholders, sorry, I'm adding that word, consulting stakeholders, including the MSDDA, for the implementation of waterfront paid parking for 2024 from mid-May to mid-September with non-resident exemptions. Sorry, Monday through Sunday, non-resident or resident exemptions.
exempting city of Grand.
Yeah.
Do we have to say, or is your memo enough that waterfront paid parking, that we're these specific 4 zones?
It'd probably be good for the resolution just to specify the zones.
That's what's in your support.
If you're not sure what you want to do yet, I would not specify the zones.
That's right.
I would say it broader as waterfront paid parking.
Well, I think I think we've excluded, maybe not.
Just put your hand down.
I want to take what your memo said that referred to, which was describing the waterfront paid parking as those 4 zones: the Lake Avenue, the beach, the waterfront, and the Peerless Flats, to be examined separately as zones in this analysis, as the ones that are under consideration for implementation. That's what I thought we were talking about with the waterfront.
We don't want confusion with the fact that, like I said, waterfront, and then you say, well, the memo says waterfront is, these 271
Yeah, there is a zone that's called
spaces.
waterfront, and then there's
I see that.
we're referring to
Needing
that.
some clarity.
Yeah.
So we still have this motion on the floor that hasn't been seconded yet, but at
Right.
this rate, I would honestly recommend either voting down or not doing this motion and creating a whole new motion, and whether we create that tonight or we have staff come back at the next meeting, because it's getting messy.
Well,
I think you're
my
really
motion
close,
that I'm
to be honest with
making,
you.
Right.
Yeah.
Broaden it, say waterfront and beach paid parking.
Okay.
I think that will
That's
get
two
us to
zones,
what we were
though.
thinking.
That's, we only want to do those two zones. We're not going to do Lake Avenue, which
You know,
is kind of tied to the,
I'm just having
and
a
the
hard time with
cemetery.
it, because if Ashley wants to do, or should do, some type of RFQ, and bringing a qualified parking management company, why don't you let them look at the whole ball of wax? And now, wait, now, I know you don't want to do downtown parking. I'm not saying that we'd ever implement downtown parking, but why don't you let them look at the whole parking issue in Grand Haven once and for all, so that Mr. Fritz has data in front of him with stakeholder input that says, this is what it's gonna cost. I mean, there's parking companies that I had reached out to 3 years ago that pay for everything. We don't have to buy a thing. They bring in the equipment, they do the enforcement, they do everything. So I'm not sure if they're interested in Grand Haven, but at least we have, we have some hard data that we can take a look at. And you're right, Karen, I'll be long gone before downtown parking ever happens here, but I think we should at least look at it.
I think we did look at it, and so I guess I would.
Tell me the chief has, listen, with all due respect for the chief, and Mike is absolutely right, he's a hell of a public safety officer. He doesn't know anything about parking management.
All right.
With all due respect.
All right, I think you're probably right. Then I withdraw my support at this point, because I don't think we can find, I don't think we're going to find common ground on this.
Okay. So
So right now, there's a
without
motion-
support,
there's a
the
motion.
amendment dies for seconding.
Okay.
So
And
that
So we
puts
have the
us-
original motion on the floor, which is up on the board.
All right, I'll make a motion to table this until our next meeting.
Okay.
Second.
More further discussion?
I don't think you can have a discussion on a motion to table.
Okay. We take a vote, please.
Cummins,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Fritz,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
McNally.
Yes. Okay. Report by city council. Who wants to start? Karen?
You know what, I have to find, why don't you go with someone else first, let me see if I have, I have something left.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to comment earlier. The other thing I'd add, I was at the airport's drive-in and fly-in. Great turnouts, always a fantastic event. It's great to be out there at the airport. Other than that, I think that's all I have.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the Chamber Tuesday Forum Series, which wrapped up. We had our final session a couple weeks ago, and I would urge anyone in the community that is interested in what all of these community leaders went through to go ahead and go through the session, which is posted on the Chamber's website. The lectures were excellent content. On May 16th, we heard from Dr. Christine Perath about how communities move from surviving to thriving during these challenging and polarizing times. And one of the points that I wanted to mention that she brought home was, as a community, we can become more united and less polarized if we can create a safe space, both physically and emotionally, for public discourse. Negativity is contagious and far more resilient than positivity. It takes magnitudes of positive energy and reinforcement to counteract the effects of even a single negative comment. As community leaders, we need to be mindful of this. If an employee, one of her statements was that if an employee witnesses disrespect from a leader to another employee, not to them personally, but to another employee, not only do they become less engaged, but they are more likely to exhibit disrespect for others as well, fostering a culture of disrespect. The same goes for our community, which is why maintaining civil discourse is so important for Grand Haven and our community. Thank you.
Kevin, anything? Mike?
I was at the ribbon cutting ceremony. Seeing I missed the last meeting, was for the Good Samaritan services here in Grand Haven. And they are unlocking opportunities that no one should have, the journey out of poverty and housing insecurity all alone. They shouldn't do that alone. And for anyone in Ottawa County who needs access to housing support, they are your guide. They will help you through it if you need some help.
Are these the guys that went in on Columbus?
It's right over here on Fulton Street.
Or Fulton?
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
They've come from Holland, they come down here. It's a good service for to help people out. And also, Councilmember Lowe and I, we were at Kenzie Bee Cafe with their ribbon cutting ceremony. And that is, I tell you what, they provide meaningful employment for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and everyone should have a place to work and learn job skills. I gotta say, thank you so much for doing something like that in our community. Being there was such a great opportunity to meet some of the people that work there. And as a matter of fact, my wife and I know some of the people personally. We got to talk with them and haven't seen them in years, so it was really good. And also, we were all pretty much there for the memorial service, and it was quite humble to see, because a lot of my friends, I read their names, but what it's all about is about remembering those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for us to be here tonight. So, sorry I'm a little emotional on it, but it hits me deep. That's it.
Thanks, Mike. I got a couple things. One is a lot of interviews I've been doing for boards and commissions. If anybody's out there listening and is looking for something to do, the Zoning Board of Appeals, I think, is going to be shy a couple of volunteers, so there's an opportunity to serve your community. Ashley and I went to Grand Rapids together to make our, it was my live TV debut. I think she's probably done one or two before that, on just talking about Grand Haven on the Thursday before Memorial Day weekend, which was kind of fun. Wood TV gave us about 3 minutes, and let's just say it was not necessarily the simplest of things to get through. There's a lot going on in Grand Haven over Memorial Day, but we did talk about the Memorial Day parade and ceremony, which was beautiful. Chris Strang really does a beautiful job putting that together, and the committee that does it does wonderful work. So I wanted to plug the League of Women Voters Forum. Believe it or not, at least for some of us, the political season is begun. And on Tuesday night, the 13th at 7 p.m. in Central Park Place, a.k.a. The Community Center, there's going to be four mayoral candidates have been invited to face the League of Women Voters questions. It's a moderated forum where candidates get to tell a little bit about themselves and about what they want for the city. So there's 4 mayoral candidates facing off in the community center next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Be there or be square. And I think that's all I got. Ashley?
Just briefly, a reminder that your next city council meeting will fall on Tuesday the 20th, not Monday the 19th. So just drawing your attention to that schedule change. And additionally, wanted to draw your attention to a new face in the room that you'll become familiar with. Tim Price has joined us this evening. He is the new assistant city manager. He will be officially starting on Monday, but he is gracious enough to spend his time here this evening as he's moving in quite literally today. So just make sure you say hi and greet him. If I think most of you have met him at this point. But he will start Monday the 12th.
Tim, welcome, and just so you know, all our meetings are just like this one was. Anything else, Ashley?
Nope, that's all.
Okay. Maria, you got anything?
I do not.
Okay, second call to the audience. Excuse me. At this time, members of the audience may address council on any item, whether on the agenda or not. Those addressing council are asked to provide their name and address and will be limited to 3 minutes of speaking time. Council will hear all comments for future consideration, but will not have a response at this time. Those not physically present who would like to may dial 616-935-3285. If it continues ringing, remain on the line, and we'll take all callers. Chair recognizes former Mayor Manetza.
Hi, Bob Manetza, 945 Washington Avenue, Grand Haven. First, I'd like to add my voice to the 27 folks who spoke earlier in support of the Pride Festival, thanking council and the city for holding this on behalf of my family, and particularly on behalf of my transgender daughter, who has had her share of challenges with living to be who she is. So thank you for that. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Ottawa County Board of Commissioners' recent resolution regarding becoming a constitutional county. The City of Grand Haven and Ottawa County have a long and positive history of mutually beneficial relations, serving the good of all people. However, the Ottawa County Board of Commissioners recently adopted a resolution declaring that they believe they have the right to interpret and judge the constitutionality of laws and selectively disregard or nullify laws that they dislike. I implore Grand Haven City Council to adopt a resolution stating that we embrace the Constitution in whole, as amended, and that our nation is a nation of laws which are written and adopted by a constitutional process of representative government, subject to judicial review by courts of competent jurisdiction. This is what it means to support the Constitution. The city should clearly state that regardless of the county's expressed sentiments, we expect county officers and elected officials to follow their oaths of office, respect the laws of the nation and the state, and fully fund, administer, and enforce those laws and regulations so long as they are in effect. The resolution by the Ottawa County Board of Commissioners is largely symbolic. It reflects personal opinions and political posturing, but has no actual legal standing. The resolution may, however, affect the county budget priorities, allocations of funding passed through the county to various agencies and community support programs, and mutual support between the county and other local units of government. Further, the resolution explicitly invites other county officers, such as the sheriff and prosecutor, to abandon their duties under the law. Nowhere in the Constitution is there a provision for locally elected officials to substitute their own opinions or their personal agendas to judge the constitutionality of laws. That job is clearly delegated to the appropriate courts. All local governments are creatures of their state laws and based on and subordinate to them. A system which any locality can invalidate laws based on its own whims, prejudice, or narrow and ill-informed reading of laws is a recipe for anarchy. Such a situation would directly and negatively impact the residents of Grand Haven and needs to be repudiated. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Here.
Jim Hagan, 400 Lake. I would like to urge the council and the administration on your resolutions to use words exactly. For example, the use of the word waterfront when you have a zone called waterfront is confusing. And I saw this also when we did the commons area on the social district. I don't know if you've looked back at the maps that identified the commons area. The commons area actually was explicitly stated to be the closed section of Washington Street in addition to all the sidewalks. And part of the application for people participating in the social district, the application specifically prohibits selling of alcoholic beverages and serving them in the commons area. Of course, that was somehow taken care of because another map was issued that removed the language concerning the common area, including the closed section of Washington Street. I'm bringing this up because these things are really critical to get them right. So when you redo a resolution, make sure you list the zones. Don't use waterfront when waterfront specifically referred to a zone, and then the memo said waterfront and beachfront, and then went on to say list 4 zones. List the zones, please.
Thanks, Jim. Okay, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.